I have a major update on the Iran war escalating towards a wider, more dangerous conflict, with 3 U.S. soldiers being killed in an attack on a U.S. military base in the country of Jordan. Since Friday morning, events on the ground and in orbit suggest this war is becoming more interconnected, more international, and harder to contain. Thank you guys so much for joining me today as I bring you this breaking news update on what's going on in Iran. Iran fired a mix of ballistic missiles and drones into a U.S. base in Jordan, killing 2 additional American service members and leaving at least 1 missing in action. 4 wounded soldiers were evacuated to the Jordanian hospital and have since been discharged, underscoring how repeated strikes are steadily increasing the American casualty count that is now at 16 dead and 430 wounded since this war began. President Trump has said, "I will retaliate. We are not backing down from this situation." Now, in response, the U.S. military has mounted sustained air operations against Iranians and the IRGC targets, with officials saying close to 200 sites have been hit over intense strike periods in the last couple days. These targets have included missile launch facilities, radar sites, ammunition depots, airbase, and coastal installations across Iran. Against the backdrop, President Trump has publicly vowed to push for negotiation to end the war, but warned until then, he will release the gates of hell on Iran, a phase that captures the mood of a Washington now deeply engaged in direct confrontations. For 8 straight nights, American bombers and missiles have focused on the launch end of the Iranian kill chain, the crews, magazines, launchers that send drones and ballistic missiles towards U.S. Forces and bases. Yet the precision of the latest strike on highly defended bases shows that destroying launchers may not be enough if the sensors guiding these missiles sit safely in orbit. What do I mean by that? U.S. officials and reporting in outlets such as the Wall Street Journal now suggest Washington's fear that the findings in the Iran kill chain are either supported by Russia or Chinese space assets. Now, in March of 2026, American officials concluded that Russia was providing Iran with locations of U.S. warships and aircrafts, with Ukrainian intelligence reporting Russian satellites surveyed 46 military sites across 11 countries over a 10-day period. Leaked Iranian-Revolutionary Guard documents indicate Iran bought a Chinese satellite in 2024 for $36 million, capable of half-meter resolution. That means that this is sharp enough to distinguish between parked aircraft, and that this satellite reported images of these Jordanian bases. Essentially, they're able to get highly targeted geolocation of where U.S. troops and bases and military equipment are sitting. This creates a kill chain that stretches across borders. Russia supplies the targeting data. China supplies the imagery and components. Ukraine's battlefield provides a testing ground for these types of drones, and Iran's supplying missiles, and then the will to try to attack these military bases. Now, America can flatten an Iranian launcher, but hitting Russian military satellites or Chinese ground stations risks taking this from the United States at war with Iran to the United States at war with Iran, China, and Russia. So President Trump and the military, they're in a tricky situation. On the one hand, we do the same thing with our allies. On the other hand, we don't like our military troops being killed. Now, military analysts warn this dynamic inverts traditional attrition. Iran may launch fewer missiles, but each surviving missile shot can be aimed if orbital eyes remain intact. That raises fear in Washington, D.C. and allied capitals that the conflict is poised to spin out of control, especially as U.S. bases, once considered safe and secure, continue to absorb precise, damaging strikes. At the same time, there is no public proof that a foreign satellite directly cued this specific missile attack that killed 3 Americans on Friday. The basis fixed, well mapped, and could have been hit by a large salvo, but public local spotters alone can't tell us what's going on. So the Pentagon statement stresses that foreign help is fundamentally changing Iran's results in a single strike. Even a foreign enablement through data, imagery, and technology is now clearly documented. What is undeniable is that an Iranian missile crossed Jordanian skies, and the kill chain ended with American soldiers dead. So things are escalating. President Trump is not going to just sit by and allow this to happen. At the same time, he is asking that we continue negotiations. So on the one hand, he wants to end this. On the other hand, he's not going to back down. And there's now 50,000 American soldiers in the battle theater in that particular region. But let me share with you what was shared over on Fox News, because they gave a really great update.
Is still missing this morning after Iran launched strikes on an airbase in Jordan, further intensifying a weeks-long exchange of fire. Central Command confirming fresh strikes on Iran Saturday night to further destabilize Iran's ability to strike ships in the Strait and attack U.S. bases. Joining me now with analysis is former Trump National Security Advisor Victoria Coates. Victoria, thanks very much for weighing in this morning. Your assessment of these latest developments.
Good morning, Maria. First, I just want to associate myself with the comments from Senator Fetterman from my home state of Pennsylvania, grieving for our two heroes and have prayers for the third that's missing and for their families. That's just, it's an awful thing, and it's a reminder of the cost of war. And I think the president is rightly now looking at ways to escalate against Iran to punish them for that terrible strike on Jordan, and further, as you just said, degrade their capability to take further strikes. Now, looking at what they're targeting this morning, they're going after Aqaba, which is a port in southern Jordan, right on the Red Sea, where Jordan and Israel meet. So very strategic point, very close to the Suez Canal. That's Iran trying to go after shipping through the Red Sea. That's intolerable. We can't take that. So we're going to see other allies, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, who have very strong interests in that shipping lane, weigh in. But I think what you're seeing is Iran trying to affect more shipping outside of the Strait of Hormuz, as possibly they're starting to lose control of that because of these ongoing strikes.
You know, CENTCOM says that there will be outsized action in retaliation, but I don't understand how it's possible that Iran has the capabilities to fight this way and continue to try to lash out at Gulf countries and U.S. military bases, because the U.S. has obliterated Iran's military, and the president continues to reiterate that.
Yes, and if you look at the numbers of missiles that they've been able to fire off from the beginning of this war, late February, early March, and what they're able to do now, it is very seriously degraded. They've gone from over 100 a day to less than 10, if even that. There have been a number of days where they haven't fired off anything, and they haven't targeted Israel for months now. So I think their capabilities are lessened, but they're not zero, and that's the important thing. They are a nuisance. They're going after their regional neighbors. And that, in a way, though, can also, in the long term, be a benefit for us, Maria, because this unites the entire region behind the United States and with Israel. That would have been impossible 10 years ago. Now it's actually happening in real time.
Well, it's also quite extraordinary that the Prime Minister of Iraq visited President Trump, and I know that the Prime Minister of Lebanon is going to Washington and going to meet with President Trump as well. You will also be meeting with the Prime Minister of Lebanon on Monday. Is that right? Tomorrow morning?
Indeed. And these are two amazing visits, which are getting no coverage because they're good news stories. And we'll start with Prime Minister al-Zaidi of Iraq, a new kind of politician for Iraq. He comes out of the business world. I really hope you get to interview him at some point, because he's treating Iraq like a business. And that's why his first visit was to Washington. And he inked deals with Exxon and Chevron. He's working with Syria to restart a pipeline from the 1950s that goes up through Syria from Iraq. So that's a way we're going to be able to move oil. They're already doing it by truck. So huge good news story. And then actually it's President Joseph Aoun. This is the first visit of a Lebanese president in almost 20 years to Washington. It follows the first direct talks between the United States, Israel, and Lebanon in 15 years. Those talks went on last week in Rome. So I think we may get some really important announcements out of President Aoun, and I am looking forward to getting his firsthand views on what's happening on the ground, what's really going on with Israel.
And what about Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Well, that's the big thing, is if Israel and the government of Lebanon unite against Hezbollah, they're not going to be able to do very much. And very importantly, Syria interdicted a big shipment of arms that Iran was trying to get through Syria to Hezbollah. It shows you the situation is not what it was 5 years ago when Iran could act with impunity in Syria. Now they're getting stopped and blocked. And so it is a huge opportunity to finally defang Hezbollah and remove that awful, awful blight that's been on the beautiful country of Lebanon.
I mean, these are all such serious issues, and yet in Congress, you've got a divide in terms of support for Israel and a divide in terms of support for the president's leadership on this war. How do you see that? I mean, when you look at the polling of Jewish people and of Israel, what's your takeaway in terms of young people and this negative stance toward Israel? Is that because the Democrats in Congress are setting the tone in terms of sentiment around Israel?
I think that we're really seeing a very, very bad trend in the United States. And it is, as you say, with young people. And at Heritage, we think that this is because really anti-Semitic, anti-Israel sort of academic inquiry in not just our colleges, but also our K through 12 in our public schools. Our kids are getting indoctrinated in this stuff. And so when they go to college, they have a very open mind to the anti-Semitic views of their professors. And this is being reflected in the polling, and then it's reflected in Congress. And I think that those members of Congress know better. They know the value of our security relationship with Israel, which was just on extraordinary display during Operation Epic Fury. We worked together seamlessly. Everybody took note, from China to Russia to Cuba, of what we're capable of doing. That is of enormous value. It keeps the American people safe. And so this is just a show vote. It's posturing, but it's dangerous.
Okay, so wow, a lot going on. Please pray for the safety of our military men and women. Pray that President Trump can get Iran back to the negotiation table. They have been degraded, as was said right there by the former national security advisor, from 100 missiles a day to less than 10. But the ones they are firing are much more dangerous and precise. So they're using imagery. Somehow they are getting the telemetry and the targeting and the geolocating in order to inflict maximum damage. The U.S. military continues to hit them very, very hard. So wanted to bring you guys this update. It's technical, it's dangerous. I prefer to bring you guys good news, but the news is the news, and I wanted to keep you guys in the loop on what's really going on. All right, I'll be back on tomorrow to bring you guys more information. If you found value in this video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.